Hello, thanks for joining me for the webinar today. My name is Dylan Fisher, Regional Sales Manager here at McCormick Systems, a foundation software company. We specialize in estimating and takeoff software here at McCormick. We have been in the estimating software business for over 40 years, so we've definitely got a good handle on it. Today, I'll give you a quick preview of our all-in-one estimating and takeoff solution. So what I mean by all-in-one is it's the ability to add digital prints, perform takeoffs, get you a complete material list. We have material costs and labor hours assigned to our parts. In the end, we spit out a proposal. So, PDF all the way to the proposal. Only so much we can look at in our short time together today. I hope to take you through, the whole process and just hit the, some of the keynotes. But for a full personalized demonstration, give us a call, send us an email. Let us know if there's a good day and time for us to provide you with a personalized online demonstration in which we would get much more in depth. If there's questions at the end, I will try to leave some time at the end of the webinar to to answer any questions. There's a chat box and a questions box on the webinar dashboard. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to launch the program and log into the system. I do want to talk a little bit about users, networking, sharing this information. McCormick is cloud-based. Users, you can have as many users as you want, of course, depending on how many users you're paying for. That determines how many users can be in the system at one time. Security can be set up on users if needed. You can create parameters and restrictions on users. The nice thing about the cloud-based software, obviously you can access it from anywhere with just an internet connection. But also it gives you a network environment. McCormick is a true network system, a true multi-user system, meaning everything is shared and used. The software is used live. I could even see another user doing takeoff in the program. We could be in the same job at the same time. So logging into McCormick, we see a job screen here. This is our digital filing cabinet. We can come back to any of these jobs to and open them up, to finish it, to review it, to make changes to it. I could even open up a job and start running change orders. So many reasons why I might open an existing job folder. We're either doing that or starting a new job. I'll look at a job that's in process. It's got a bit of a start to it. So let's look at the details on this 149 West Boston job. So this is the same screen that opens up when you start a new job in McCormick. On a new job, it'd be blank. You'd want to name it at the very least. And then these fields are optional. It's mostly contact information, phone numbers, emails, addresses. Again, that's optional, but if it's filled out here, we won't have to worry about it later. It automatically populates into the reports, into the proposals at the end. There's some tabs at the bottom of this job screen. The last tab is where we add the digital plans. So you're probably getting mostly PDFs. We do accept any type of digital image file. On the left side, we're showing as an example that you can organize your sheets into folders. Okay, this is just an example here. Adding folders is simple. You just right-click, add folder. Of course, you can name it whatever you want. Maybe I've got some revisions, so I could name this folder revisions and attach those revised plans to the job here. Keep them separate. Adding the plans is simple. When we hit add drawings, that opens up our computer storage. So now we just have to find the plans on our computer, on our network, wherever we happen to have them saved. I can select a single file or several files from the computer and hit open. McCormick pulls the plans into this preview mode. So if you do receive a single file, it's a combined set of prints. We'll separate it out for you. Here in the preview, we can do just that. We can preview these plans. We can zoom in and just choose the ones we want. So there is an import selected option up here. If I just wanted these two sheets here, I could check the boxes and use that option. Or there is an import all option. I want all these sheets here, so I'm going to use that. And that's it. That's the process of getting a job started in McCormick. Name the job, type in details if you want to, add plans here if you've got them. And that is the first step of McCormick. So one of the nice things about McCormick is, ease of use. Yes, it's a very powerful system. There's a lot of bells and whistles, but on a basic level, we're working through these 5 steps. So it gives us some direction and some flow. All right, so we're done talking about number 1 jobs. In the next step, we call this labels. This is where we can break the bid down into pieces. And it's used for many purposes. In this first column, I'm using the first column to separate pricing. So in my example, I have a base bid. I've come back to do a few change orders. Maybe the customer wants some options, how much to add this or how much for just that, right? So I can do alternates here, and then of course the change orders as well. So each label here represents a separate price. I might have a base bid, several options, and 100 change orders, right? So we just need a label for each price. That is pretty unique to McCormick, the ease of breaking out pricing within one job folder, and then certainly the ability to handle the change orders within the same job folder. Pretty unique to McCormick. Beyond that, I do have 5 columns here to work with. This can change depending on the level you have, but essentially these are the breakouts I want. I want a breakdown on the underground. I want to see how many man hours I have there. I want to see, each floor by itself, material list, man hours for each floor. So this is my example, job to job. You decide what type of breakouts you want. I have 5 columns to work with. I'm only using 3 here. On smaller projects, I might only use 2, or larger projects, I might use all 5. So that part's up to you. What type of breakouts do you need? All right, so I'm going to move on to step 3, takeoff. All right, this is where we account for material. McCormick has a plumbing and mechanical pre-built database, thousands of items and assemblies ready to go. So, that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at the Assemblies Database. It says it at the top. At the bottom, the first 2 tabs will toggle between items and assemblies. Okay, so we're going to start with an item. An item is a single piece of material. Now, my job here in Takeoff is to account for material. Assemblies are the most efficient way and fastest way to do that. But I'm going to start with an item because I want to talk about the information built into it. So here in the first column of this menu, the window here on the right, in order to find something in the database, we're gonna use the menu. We're going to start with a general category here. As we work through the columns, you'll see how it narrows down the search. I want plastic pipe, I want PVC DWV. Let's just get pipe for now. As soon as I select the last option in the menu, it takes me to that section of the database. So here's my list of Schedule 40 DWV listed smallest to largest. Now, as soon as you select a part in the database, that part turns blue, showing that it's active. So this 4-inch pipe is ready to be taken off. Now, I did add plans at the beginning. They're waiting for me. I can launch the Pro and take off this 4-inch pipe right on the plan. Before I do that, before I open up the plan, I'll show you what we call manual entry takeoff. So if you didn't have a digital plan, maybe this was a small job walk or a change order or something, you can always punch numbers into the system. Okay, we call that basic manual entry takeoff. I typed in 100, I hit enter, and there it is in the Audit Trail. So the Audit Trail records everything we do here in Takeoff. It's our receipt. It shows the description of the part, whether it's an item or an assembly, the quantity, 100 feet, the user that took it off. We date and timestamp every piece of takeoff and then mark the line with an M or a P. So this was manually entered. Whereas when we start marking the plan, the counts and measurements will feed into this audit trail automatically as we mark the plan. Those lines will be marked with a P. It's coming from the plan. So pretty neat. Again, this is our receipt, who took it off, when they took it off, how they took it off, what they took off, how much, whether it's an item or an assembly. I know anybody looking at this later, knows all those details, knows that exactly what they're looking at here. Now, I am going to review this item for you and talk a little bit about this information here. This is sort of the meat and potatoes behind an estimating program. Built-in material pricing, built-in labor. Now, I'm not picking anything here in Takeoff. This is built into the parts. When I move on to the next step, after I'm done accounting for material, I'm going to extend. I'm going to go to step 4. I'm going to extend my quantities, my Takeoff, by one of these pricing levels and by one of these labor levels. Okay, so we have multiple levels, 4 levels of material cost, and we give you bid labor, Harrison labor, and change order labor. So at the very least 3 levels. We can get you MCAA and PHAC. You do have to be a member, and there is an extra cost for that. Okay, we also have things like schedule codes, cost codes, and UPC codes built in as well. Okay, everything is customizable. We give you this great starting point. You can add your own material to it. You can make changes, to anything we've started you with. You can really make this database your own. All right, next I'm going to switch to the Assemblies database. I'm going to select that same pipe, but as an assembly. Okay, so I want more than just pipe, right? So let's do schedule 40, DWV. I'm installing with clevis hangers and C-clamps. Same 4-inch pipe here, but it's an assembly. It's built with clevis hangers and C-clamps. If you open up the side window on an assembly, it shows all the materials that make up the assembly. Okay, so again, that's the same pipe right here, but I'm getting everything else I need to install it, down to the glue, couplings, glue, thread rod, clevis hangers, washers, hex nuts, so down to the glue, nuts and bolts, everything's included. So the neat thing is if I take off 100 feet of this, I'm getting everything I need to install that 100 feet. And not just the materials. Again, this is just a group of items. Price and labor is built into every part. So, if it's in the audit trail, we're done. We've estimated it. So that's basic manual entry Takeoff, very simple. We're selecting parts and typing in a quantity. Not a whole lot different taking off on the plan. The biggest difference here is we're not, we're marking the print. We're not, getting counts and measurements and entering it into the program. We're actually just selecting parts and clicking on the plan, and McCormick's doing the rest. So I'm going to select a sheet here. Okay, we're going to need to set a scale. This plan, it doesn't come with a scale, so I'm going to use the set scale from known points. Okay, I could use any known dimensions on this drawing. I can use this doorway. If I know the dimensions of this room here, I could use this little ruler here, anything I want. Essentially, we just line up these little crosshairs and we tell McCormick how much that is. What is that value? So in this case, the doorway is 3 feet. I'm going to type in a 3 here, hit enter. I've got my own scale now. So the doorway is always 3 feet no matter how you look at it. Okay, whether you're zoomed in all the way or zoomed out all the way, we're going to get some very accurate linear measurements. Okay, there's so much that this part of the program can do for me, but again, in our short amount of time together, we can only cover so much. So I'm really just going to cover the basics. Well, on a basic level, we're getting counts and measurements on a digital plan. All right, so I'll start with linear Takeoff. I'll take off some pipe runs. All right, so in fact, I'm already on the 4-inch PVC DWV with clevis hangers and C-clamps. So again, as soon as you select it here in the database, in the estimating program, it's active. All right, so I'm just gonna draw a line on the plan. It's 1 click to start and 1 click to end. That's it. Pretty darn simple. Okay, I'll take off another run right here. So you'll see I'm leaving these marks behind. The neat thing is this is an all-in-one estimating and takeoff solution. That mark represents this assembly. Okay, the measurements are being recorded for me. Okay, so again, that's not just a measurement on 4-inch pipe. That's all the material I need to install those 4-inch runs. That's the measurement, the materials. Again, price and labor is built into all the parts. So if it's marked on the plan, it's estimated. Okay, counts and measurements are going to feed into this audit trail automatically. Those lines will be marked with a P coming from the plan. All right, so let's take off, let's do some counting. I want to clean out. I want a floor clean out, PVC. I want 4-inch. Again, the side window's open. It shows me all the parts I get. Real quick, this time I'll show you the built-in symbol and color. So we can view that here. This is what it's going to look like when I click on the plan. I do want to point out that that is customizable to you. We give everything a default, so it's ready to be taken off. But sure, if I want a different color, a different symbol, we can do that. All right, but as soon as you select it here in the database, it's ready to be taken off on the plan. I want one of those here, and I want 2 of those here. So just pointing and clicking. We're either drawing lines or spotting and dotting. That's really all there is to it. McCormick's doing the rest. There's those 3 cleanouts I marked on the plan. Now there's quite a bit more we can do here. Again, that's really the basics. We've got highlighting tools. We can mark the plan up. We can put notes on the plan. There's all these quick access highlighting tools here. Region markers. You want to know how big this room is here. We can give you square footage and perimeter. T is for text. We can put notes anywhere we want. Now, what's also neat is that all of these details work on filters. We can turn things on and off. So if I don't want to see those regions and highlights and notes, I can hide them. I can even filter the takeoff. Maybe I just want to make sure I didn't miss any of those expensive cleanouts. Or I want, plan's getting kind of crowded. I want to, just hide everything, start working on something else, and then I can turn it all back on later. Okay, I always like to show this legend here. I turn it on here in the tools section of the ribbon. It opens up by default in the top left-hand corner, but we can move it. We can put it anywhere we want. We could even resize it, but it's pretty neat. You got 2 green lines, a total of 226 feet of the 4-inch PVC DWV. You got 3 of these, pink circles with the CEO on it. That represents 4-inch cleanout. So it's going to build this automatic legend for you, which is pretty awesome. Keep in mind that everything in McCormick is printable and exportable. So if I want to print this out or save it as a PDF, I can do that. And when I do that, it comes out exactly as I see it on my screen. So pretty neat. All right, that pretty well covers the basics on, in Takeoff. We're selecting parts, items, assemblies. We're either typing in quantities or clicking on the plan. That's really all there is to it. The next step in McCormick is called extension. So we're now going to extend our material, our Takeoff, by one of those built-in price and labor levels. Okay, McCormick has multiple levels of price, multiple levels of labor attached to every item. This is just one report here. In fact, this is what McCormick defaults to, price 1 and bid labor. These columns are highlighted because we're showing you what we're extending the quantities by. We're extending, this is the itemized list of material. This is every single piece of material I need for the job, down to the nuts and bolts. This is the total quantity of that material. Okay, quantity times price one gives me extended price. So extended price total for the job is just over $118,000. Here's the totals for each line item. Quantity times bid labor, this is our most competitive labor unit, comes out to just under 3,000 man hours total for the job. And then here's the totals for each line item. All right, again, we can choose different reports if we want right here. These are different combinations of price and labor. Lots of different ways to manage material pricing in McCormick. You know, right now I'm looking at price one. That's coming from my database. This is like an average market price. We do have the ability to work with pricing services. We can upload supplier price files. There's lots of ways to get your pricing into the system and keep it up to date. In fact, I'll show you, here's an example, supplier report. So if I was working with a couple suppliers, I would be able to, you know, upload those prices into McCormick, and here in extension, I'd be able to see those prices just like this one here, but specific to, you know, to a couple suppliers, however many suppliers I'm working with. McCormick will allow you to compare it side by side and cherry pick it. Lots of options for material pricing. We can also make changes here in extension. You know, I got a big ticket line item sitting right here, 10 grand on this 1,200 feet of 4-inch cast iron, no hub pipe. Maybe today's price, it's up to $10 a foot. Okay, so you are able to spot check here, make adjustments here. Any changes I make in extension turn bold, showing I addressed it, and then we recalculate based on that change. From here, we're sending totals to the bid summary. All right, so, so I'm sending my total material cost, my total hours to the fifth and final step. This is where we finish the job. All right, this is what I sent over. This line that's blue, this is what we're working on. I sent over the base bid, total material cost, total hours. All right, if I look up here at the top, we call this the top sheet, and we're gonna come back to this. We've got folders that we need to address at the bottom. Essentially there's a folder for each of these categories. As we go through the folders and you know, do our inputs in each of the folders, it's gonna update this top sheet automatically with the totals. So we're gonna move on to the labor folder. Okay, again, McCormick figured out the hours for me. I got to assign some rates to the hours. So I'm going to select from my list here on the left side. This is my example list of rates. Okay, you're not going to use these rates here. These are mine. These are my example list. This is one of the few things you would set up for yourself in McCormick. So job to job, yeah, McCormick figures out the hours. Now you're going to, you know, pick your rates and assign your rates to the hours. I want my foreman rate and my journeyman rate. Okay, so I'm going to distribute the hours here by, I'm going to use actually percent, so 50-50. So I assigned half of the hours to the foreman rate, half of the hours to the journeyman rate. Of course, this part is up to you. We figure out the hours, you assign your rates however you want to do it, by percentage, by hours. Some users might just do like a flat rate or average rate, assign that to all the hours. That's, you know, that's completely up to you. Here, this is showing the total labor cost based on the rate and hours assigned to it. The bottom right, that's the total for the job. So that will show up automatically here on the top sheet. We've now got the material cost and the labor cost covered. The rest of the folders are really just punch-ins. I've got a folder for quotes. These are just examples here. In each of the folders, you can add lines, as many as you need. But just for example's sake, you know, I got a quote on my fixtures, you know, and I just want to punch in a lump sum. So I'm going to use this folder here, you know, $4 grand in fixtures. There's a folder for subcontractor expenses. I'm subbing out the insulation or the trenching. Okay, so again, just a punch in folder here. Direct job expenses, things like permits and fees and fuel. Again, these are just examples you can add to the list. There is an equipment cost folder. Maybe I need a trailer. It's $180 $80 a day and I need it for 3 days. There is a folder here to set up a bond table. This is just my example bond table. Back on the top sheet, there is a checkbox to use the bond. McCormick will look here and figure out the bond for you based on your table. The last folder is the tax folder. I've got my tax rate on materials and quotes, so that looks good. Of course, you would have your tax rate there. All right, here's all the job expenses broken out and then totaled up on the right. Total, this is the raw cost, and then tax, and then this is the raw cost with tax. So essentially, this is what I'm paying to do the job, just over $280,000. Now, overhead and profit will populate here, the totals, but I can mark up each category individually here. So for example, I can say on the material, I want 10% overhead and I want 15% profit on top of that. Okay, now maybe I want something entirely different on the labor cost. Okay, so you can address each category individually. If I want the same markup on all categories, that's what these cells are for down here. I'll just put 10% on everything for overhead, and then we'll do 15% profit on everything. All right, so here's the dollars next to the percent markup. So these two cells work off of each other. Same for profit. And then again, everything's totaled up on the right. Total overhead, total profit, overhead and profit combined, the total return in dollars. Total return percent, there's the price. The bond's at 0, so this is the sell price without bond. If I want to use my bond table, again, there's a checkbox here. You know, McCormick can figure out the bond for me based on my table, and then it adds it to the sell price. So this would be the sell price with bond. Okay, so check it or keep it unchecked if you're not using a bond. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, just a couple more things I want to point out. You'll see there's a ribbon across the top of the screen that's followed us throughout the 5-step process. This is the bid summary portion of the ribbon. So you'll notice that there's a lot of options here, graphs and proposals and schedules, export options. Of course, we have integration with Foundation for the accounting and project management software. We can do generic exports for other systems like, you know, QuickBooks and things like that. And once again, all the information is printable and exportable if you need it outside of McCormick. So I talked about the plans, you know, being able to print that and save that as a PDF. Even the extension reports where we were last, the material list, the breakdowns, you know, those reports are also printable and exportable. This information is also printable and exportable. So I'll show you the bid summary report. This is generated automatically for you every time. All the job information, notes followed me here, extension data. These are the numbers we sent to the bid summary, top sheet details, labor distribution. These are the rates we use, the hours we assign to them, markups, tax, quotes, equipment cost, everything. All right, last but not least, let me show you the proposal. Pretty neat that we started with a PDF, and now we're spitting out a proposal. Here's how it works. McCormick has a plugin with Word. So I'm going to open up one of my system templates. I have a few examples here. I'm going to use this one. Of course, this can look however you want it to look. This is my example. I'm going to hit merge here and choose the summary I'm pulling the information from. Remember, we can have multiple prices per job folder. So here I'm telling McCormick I want to pull in the base bid. Okay, when I hit OK, all those fields populate. So, the job name and addresses and customer contacts, all that information is populated where I want it. Well, that's all I have time for today. I do have a minute or two here to answer any questions. I haven't seen any pop up, but if there are any questions, please type them in. I'll address them before I disconnect. And once again, Any questions you have, don't hesitate to give us a call, send us an email anytime. Certainly love the opportunity to take you through a full online demonstration. We'll spend an hour to an hour and a half with you and really drill down and take you through the whole program. All right, well, thanks again for joining me. I'm going to disconnect. Hope to hear from all of you soon.